The International Monetary Fund defines universal basic income as payments made to a large population with minimal or no strings attached.
The basic idea is a guaranteed equal allotment for everybody, giving ultimate freedom for people to do what they want.
What would you do with the money? And how would it change your life?
Maybe create a business with it.
A better school, for example, for my kids.
Start up a trust fund for my daughter.
Invest in cryptocurrency.
Maybe I'll go travel or just buy some sneakers.
Universal basic income is making its way from the fringes to a serious topic of debate thanks to a growing number of high-profile advocates.
I do think there's a pretty good chance we end up with a universal basic income or something like that due to automation.
We should explore ideas like universal basic income to make sure that everyone has a cushion to try new ideas.
This universal basic income would be the greatest catalyst to entrepreneurship and creativity that we've ever seen.
Google searches for the term universal basic income have multiplied as much as 50 times between 2015 and 2019. So why is the idea of the government handing out free money gaining popularity?
The main reason why universal basic income is in discussion the way it is there's a huge and widening level of inequality in the United States. The gaps between the rich and the poor have widened considerably. And there is a sense that this may well continue, especially as robotics and artificial intelligence continue to replace jobs. So the notion is that with certain classes of jobs disappearing, not only will inequality widen, but some people may not be able to find gainful employment, but as human beings, they should have guaranteed dignity and basic needs met.
By 2030, automation could displace up to a third of jobs worldwide. And nearly 40% of jobs in the US could be automated by the early 2030s. The jobs most at risk involve repetitive physical activity, including clerical, manufacturing, and transportation work.
Andrewyang! One!
That's why serial entrepreneur and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang is promising an unconditional payment of $1,000 per month, which he calls a freedom dividend, to every adult U.S. citizen, if he wins his long-shot bid for the presidency. Under his plan, people would have a choice between $1,000 each month to spend as they please, or traditional welfare benefits like food stamps or disability. Yang says the payment is a way to appeal to many of the voters who contributed to President Trump's victory in 2016.
I would never be running if Donald Trump hadn't won the election of 2016. The bell really went off where I was like, I'm going to run for president, when I was doing research about what I thought helped Donald Trump win, which is that we'd automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, all the swing states he needed to win, and did win. And when I found that that was the central driver, I said, someone needs to make this case to the American people that it's not immigrants, it's technology.
The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities estimates the cost of Yang's plan would be more than $3 trillion a year. But Yang says the figure would come in closer to $1.8 trillion, because many people might choose welfare benefits over UBI checks.
If you show up to someone and say, hey, would you rather $1,000 cash and they're already getting $1,400 and a range of benefits, then it doesn't cost you anything extra, because they'll say, no thanks, I like my benefits.
To help pay for his plan, Yang proposes a 10% value-added tax on goods and services. A value-added tax is a consumption tax that is charged when an individual or a business makes a purchase, commonly referred to as VAT. The Tax Policy Center told CNBC Make It that a 10% value-added tax could raise anywhere from $500 billion to $1 trillion per year, depending on how broadly it's applied. An overwhelming majority of countries in the world already have a value-added tax in place. Hillary Clinton had even considered running her 2016 presidential campaign on a platform including UBI, according to her memoir, What Happened. But she couldn't figure out a reasonable way to pay for it. Clinton wrote in her memoir, "We decided it was exciting but not realistic and left it on the shelf." However, there's also evidence to support UBI proponents, who say cash handouts could spur more entrepreneurship and innovation. That's what Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg seems to think. He spoke about UBI during Harvard's commencement in 2017.
If I had to support my family growing up instead of having the time to learn how to code, if I didn't know that I was going to be fine if Facebook didn't work out, then I wouldn't be standing up here today. We should have a society that measures progress not just by economic metrics like GDP, but by how many of us have a role we find meaningful. We should explore ideas like universal basic income to make sure that everyone has a cushion to try new ideas.
That financial cushion can have a big impact in developing countries. That's what happened during a 2011 UBI experiment conducted among impoverished communities in the state of Madhya Pradesh in India. Many recipients used their financial cushion to try new ventures. The 1.5-year experiment included over 6,000 recipients. Adults received between 200 and 300 rupees per month, about $5 at the time, while children got between 100 and 150 rupees a month, or between $2 and $3. The additional income allowed some recipients to give up low-wage labor in order to invest in and work on their own farms. The study in India also found many people took on a second form of work and that they worked longer hours in general. While the merits of UBI in wealthier countries are somewhat mixed, it can make a larger impact in developing economies with extreme poverty.
If somebody is already very poor and this person's existing income falls well short of what is really needed for a minimum standard of living, then having a helping hand helps, but it does not cause any slack in this person's approach to how, he or she is going to either earn money or spend it.
In comparison, someone from the middle class may already have basic needs taken care of.
So for this person, all the risks of basically the money not being spent perhaps in the most essential items or high impact items, or this causing people to cut back on their work, I would say at least theoretically the concerns would be more.
The United States is following suit with a few small-scale UBI pilot programs of its own. Starting in 2016, the research arm of startup accelerator Y Combinator ran a UBI experiment in Oakland, California, as a test leading up to a planned larger-scale program in 2 undisclosed states, where 1,000 people will receive $1,000 a month for 3 years. Starting January 2019, the Magnolia Mothers Trust began giving 20 African-American Mississippi moms who live below the federal poverty line $1,000 a month for 1 year. The Magnolia Mothers Trust was formed by a nonprofit in partnership with the Economic Security Project, which is co-chaired by Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes. Now policymakers are closely watching the first government-led UBI experiment to kick off in the U.S., in the once bankrupt town of Stockton, California. 130 Stockton residents began receiving $500 a month starting in February 2019. The program is slated to last 18 months. And so far, the results seem promising.
We're hearing stories of mothers who are able to buy school supplies for their children. We're hearing people that are able to actually find jobs because they got to spend some time off from their retail work to apply for jobs that are higher paying.
While the UBI experiments have had mixed results, they have changed the conversation around the meaning of work.
I don't think it would be conducive to society to say, here, this is yours, no matter what. If you don't even want to try, you still get the same. But I would also add that contributing through work is not the only way to contribute.
Yang says as more and more jobs are lost to automation, we need to redefine the meaning of work.
My wife is at home with our 2 boys, one of whom is autistic. Right now, the market values her work at 0. GDP values her work at 0. Instead of thinking about it as working more, working less, we should think about it in a way to help broaden the definition of work. We need to think bigger about what work means and what we value.